leaves Endeavor because he's like, One for All is here, gets his kicked in again. And guess what? We're a season later, he's trying to take One for All, and he's getting his kicked in while gloating about being the strongest character in the show. No one helped you? They tried. Your dog tried to help you. You killed him. Mom tried to help. Your mom wasn't there. Your dad tried to help you. You killed him. He does the little flashback. Oh my god, I was a kid on the street crying and nobody helped me. Nobody helped me. Boo-hoo. I was such a sad kid. Nobody helped me. At the time of writing this portion of the video, I have 12 episodes of My Hero Academia left, and I doubt Shigaraki is beating the allegations that I'm about to double down on in this video.
Hear me and hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
Previously, I made an hour-and-a-half video explaining why I think Shigaraki is a horrible villain step by step, but as a small channel, no one is going to watch that, so I'll sum it up in hopefully 5 minutes or less. Then I will finally finish the series, and then I'll give my complete opinion on him as a character. Then I'll end with a summarized opinion of the show. That I am probably not gonna fucking do. Anyways, I say summarize because I might do a series review eventually. That I might actually do. Anyways, alright, now let's get into like the hypothesis prep phase of the Shigaraki is a cool character but a terrible villain. That was the message behind this hour-plus long video. But like I said in the intro, I will just summarize it for you. So Shigaraki's ideology doesn't resonate with me whatsoever. His backstory is rather mid, which personally I couldn't care less about the backstory. G shit. Like, if your backstory is below average and you make up for it in other categories, hey, you're good to me. But with Shigaraki, you'll come to see that ideology and relatability, for lack of a better word, is Shigaraki's golden egg, and with that not hitting for me, then just off the rip, not really gonna like the guy. Anyways, if you're a real fan, I'm talking read the manga, I keep up with the writers of the show kind of guy, you might disagree with my bullet point for this, because maybe his ideology and shit was more fleshed out in the manga, but in the show it really wasn't. But from the perspective of someone who's watched the series once casually and a second time to verify opinions, I might be on a third or fourth watch of certain episodes, Shigaraki is basically evil for the sake of being evil. I'm not gonna lie to you. Shigaraki being evil is essentially RNG, random numbers generator, right? Not everyone grows up with the silver spoon. Some of us are bound to be bad type shit. That's basically Shigaraki. But I reiterate, this doesn't bother me at first, or it didn't bother me at first, because there's a lot of heroes in real life that are heroes for very simple reasons. There's a lot of people that do bad shit for very simple reasons. I mean, crime of opportunity is a really big thing. Bullet point 2, Shigaraki is incomplete. From the first time we see him to the final battle of the second to last season, it's not the second to last season anymore, Shigaraki is commonly put in great positions to succeed, but he fumbles due to an unmentioned character flaw or simply not planning enough. It's unclear who planned the USJ attack, and I think it was All For One, but you have a legitimate argument that it was Shigaraki that planned it. I mean, he is smart enough to plan something like that. Nonetheless, it fails, and Shigaraki is caught completely with his ass out when the Nomu gets packed up. But that's fine. My thing is, he learns absolutely nothing from this. There's a couple of times where he's planning to lure out or get One For All or All Might or whatever, but he never thought about the fact, what the fuck was he gonna do when he met the guy? Hold that thought. He meets a dude in a bird mask, turns out his name is Chisaki, I just remember that, who had a phenomenal plan, right? He cripples and robs a guy, or he cripples and robs that guy while he's incapacitated, which would be gangsta, but he does fuck all with the plan and the quirk deleters that he stole from him. And then he literally conveniently keeps one that he shoots at Eraserhead, but it doesn't fucking matter because they nerfed Eraserhead before the fight. Anyways, to spin back on my incomplete point, alright, my biggest annoyance with Shigaraki, and a huge part of this incomplete argument, is Shigaraki is, sorry, I really want to emphasize this, Shigaraki is the main antagonist in a shonen anime, and he can't box! Without ranting about it, Shigaraki quite literally loses an embarrassing amount of fights, and as the main antagonist, you're gonna lose. It's just, you know, that's just how a majority of shows, movies, and animes work. But who he loses to, and more importantly, how he loses most of the time, is unforgivable. The most egregious example is he loses a skirmish to Sandman Snatch. I mean, he gets hold by Snatch, Stain, and he's like 100% convinced that if he gets in a room with Time Limit All Might or Patch 2 Deku or above, he can win and make the world sad. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. And I'm gonna end that there because that was a majority of the video. And I go in depth about how he's so disappointing during his fights and I label him a fraud and whatnot. The last point worth noting is there are 3 alternate villains in the show and they all outperform Shigaraki. Stain inarguably outperformed Shigaraki, especially if you limit it up to the time of Stain's capture. Shigaraki outperformed Shigaraki by killing a member of his gang, maiming another, taking control of his gang, and by having a far better success span to Shigaraki's, because at that point in time, Shigaraki didn't have a fucking plan. Last one for worth mentioning is All For One. Yeah, he's Shigaraki's get out of jail free card. He basically retires All Might and he takes the controller from Shigaraki because he clearly can't beat the game himself. There's also Redestro, but he doesn't do anything but beat Shigaraki to a point where he blows up a city, so I'll concede on him specifically. And I'll end the summary with something that I didn't say in the first video. Me, you, and Shigaraki start the series by watching All Might with the power of All For One defeat a Nomu that possesses shock absorption, regeneration, etc, etc. We then see Endeavor repeatedly beat up and fatally injure a flying Nomu until it's eventually defeated to death. Shigaraki takes this information and becomes a sentient Nomu with stolen quirk. Before we get into the Evisceration, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't understand that point, but the point is, we watch the strongest characters in the show absolutely destroy these Nomu, like the high-end ones, right? And then Shigaraki attempts to become the perfect Nomu. And you could spin it as they were trying to test and see what the heroes were doing to kill the Nomu so they could then patch Shigaraki into being an unkillable Nomu. But my thing is, it's just like when we watch the final battle, he is essentially the same thing, just in a human body, right? So it's like they've killed this thing 3 times, well, twice before, and then all of a sudden, just because this one has a name, it can't die. That's the point I'm trying to get off. This will probably be my last dedicated Shigaraki video, and I really want to emphasize how much of a fraud this guy is. But for time reasons, we're gonna skip over Shigaraki getting punked by Stain, getting punked by Shigaraki, getting absolutely bitched by Sandman Snatch, Redestro hanging him upside down like a mirror dice, and we're gonna start with his last fight pre-Stars and Stripes. And I cannot explain this fight with Endeavor and Deku better than this clip. But what I'm about to narrate to you is the equivalent of you, yes you, right now, getting up and hitting a half-court shot for $50,000, and the announcer goes, "Bet you can't do that shit again." Endeavor himself will hit this half-court shot a handful of times. Hell, he's already done it twice. And a small coalition of heroes will also hit this half-court shot. And in the end, Fate basically says, "Here's $20. I'll be back. I bet you can't hit a full court shot though." And it's like, what the fuck? Anyways, like I said, Endeavor deadass flies up to Shigaraki, burns the dog shit out of him. Then this, of course, doesn't work and would have been badass, but Shigaraki attempts to grab Endeavor, but it gets weaved, and Endeavor punches this man so fucking hard, his body instantly breaks the sound barrier, and as he gets sent to the earth. And for those of you who don't know how fast you gotta go to break the sound barrier, that's over 700 miles per hour. The exact speed is on screen. It's like 767 miles per hour. By the way, for a normal person, terminal velocity is roughly 120 miles per hour. Now I did some math. That is 6 times the freaking terminal velocity. Anyways, Shigaraki hits the ground and should have died 3 times over, that being the punch itself, achieving 6 times terminal velocity and hitting the ground at above Mach 1, but he regenerates. At this point, Shigaraki basically starts playing in creative mode because he starts pulling quirks out of his ass. So he spontaneously gets a shield ability that saves his life. Despite getting all these random quirks, he never plans on using them or tries to use them tactically. He kind of just gets in a situation and thinks, wow, I need to do this thing. Then right after having that thought, All For One goes, oh, by the way, you know that thing you need? The doctor gave you that quirk, by the way. So anyway, Shigaraki is in creative mode and blocks an attack from Endeavor. This would have been badass, but he doesn't do anything after that. Shigaraki ignores Endeavor. It basically says, I don't want you, I want Deku. Now let's get into the grit. The presumed final season kicks off almost immediately with Shigaraki versus Captain America, and I like how they just got straight into the business. While we're complimenting the show, I would like to say, My Hero Academia, the show, is fucking beautiful. Like, it is a visually pleasing show. Alright, time to get critical. So yeah, the fight kicks off with Captain America and whatnot, and I was genuinely worried about, like, Shigaraki would perform in a way to where I would have to apologize to the small percentage of the My Hero community that I pissed off. Anyways, hold that thought. Shigaraki starts with an air cannon and obviously misses, as most first attacks do, but check this out. Stars and Stripes put Shigaraki in an air prison. Then they don't say it out loud, but Shigaraki conveniently has a quirk that turns his hand into an oxygen mask, so he's not suffocating to death right now. They land the My Hero equivalent of a Spartan laser on him. He reflects it, albeit he took a lot of damage. But as we found out in the previous episodes, damage, air quotes damage, doesn't really have consequences. And when it does, Sugar Daddy All For One will bail his little nepo baby out at all costs. So Shigaraki attempts to launch at Stars and Stripes and immediately gets hold, okay? She then immediately wins the fight by declaring if he moves, his heart will stop. And now, in case you haven't seen the show, Stars and Stripes Captain America, her power is basically the super death note, alright? But she has to touch something before she can control it, alright? Yeah, basically she can control anything she touches. Obviously there's limits to it, but virtually anything she can touch, like the air and people, she can control them. So when she punched the shit out of Shigaraki, she, for lack of a better word, wrote his name in the death note or got control over him. So fight's over, or at least round one, because we are roughly 16 minutes into an 18-ish episode season, so the main antagonist cannot die in the first episode because we're running a business here. Shigaraki releases an electric bubble to reset the fight, and you can say his identity crisis saved him, or All For One bailed him out. I honestly do not care. I'm just going to contribute it to All For One because, I mean, running a channel here. So at this point in time, All For One has bailed Shigaraki out of another show-ending defeat. Nonetheless, the fight resets, and Captain America says fuck all that and summons a Susanoo. She then knocks the absolute piss out of Shigaraki, and she's not comboing or slapping him up like Deku did, but she is literally punching the Mario coins out of this man. She stops him in midair by clapping him, pause no autumn, okay, pause no diddy, alright, crushing him with an inconceivable amount of air pressure, which should have insta-killed him given he was worried about getting his head punched off. She then takes the lasers that burned him earlier and essentially traps him in the beam. I'm still trying to figure out how it damaged him in the first time, but now he's in a concentrated version of it, and it's not doing anything to him except stopping his regeneration. Oh, how convenient. She mentions that the beams won't kill him, they only stop his regeneration, otherwise Endeavor would have killed him already.
This could take him out. Endeavor would have burned him to a crisp already.
And isn't that comical? But it's setting up for a very satisfying ending or whatnot. While Captain America had Shigaraki stun locked, she prepared for her finishing blow. Shigaraki says he's pinned down and can't regenerate, but it's just a nuisance.
Is this nigga serious?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. She sets Shigaraki free, and with his regeneration presumably still being cancelled, she punched him with several intercontinental ballistic missiles. It sets off a massive explosion, and I'm gonna assume these are nuclear warheads, and so this explosion, according to Google at least, would cover up to 1.7 kilometers, which is a little over a mile in freedom units. This all but destroys his body. I mean, he should be dead. Now, I mean, I give the show shit for not killing anyone, but characters have died for less in this show. Hell, the reason All Might isn't here is because he got a scar from an attack presumably less significant than this. And that's not counting that Endeavor released an attack similar to this, but presumably weaker, and it completely destroyed Anomu, albeit the first time he did it, the head conveniently survived. Pause. This is the second or third time Shigaraki suffers an attack that leaves him looking like this. And something that just crossed my mind here, Shigaraki can die. You still have All For One. All For One can find a better vessel. Like, there's literally millions of candidates, bro. Nonetheless, Shigaraki survives by shooting a decoy and burying himself. I don't know how the Nobu didn't suffocate or burn to death before we got here, but suspension of disbelief, I guess, alright? Nonetheless, whether he buried himself or not, this should be a mortal wound. But then the thing that pisses me off the most about Shigaraki fights happens. Stars and Stripes, Captain America, the most powerful character we've seen in the show thus far, literally floats in place and lets Shigaraki lily pad hop across several jets and just grab her in the face. It's fucking idiotic. It's almost like they spent all the budget trying to show us how strong Captain America is and then remembered halfway through, oh shit, Shigaraki has to win this fight. Idiotic that someone is literally beating the crap out of Shigaraki and just stands there and lets him grab them, knowing how his quirk works. And I get that they're tired, but where the hell is the self-preservation? Where's the plus ultra, right? We just completely dropped that shit after season 1. And the worst part is about Shigaraki's fights in this situation very specifically, it's not earned. And you might think I'm being hard, but we just watched the fight up until this point. We're stars, alright? Trap Shigaraki in a air vacuum and makes him realize he cannot beat her from long range. He comes in for close quarters combat. She immediately sends his dumbass back to where he came from and pins him. Fight should have been over at that point, but it can't be. Alright, she uses her quirk to win the fight. Shigaraki gets bailed out due to no effort of his fucking own. He resets the fight, right? And you just saw her flawlessly execute the fucking Susanoo on offense. If only Sasuke taught her dumbass how to use the Susanoo on defense, and we would have been alright. Shigaraki starts imploding because Captain America's quirk starts destroying the other quirks in his bodies. Spoiler alert, he still gets all the quirks he conveniently needs for oddly specific scenarios in the future. The weird Vito start beaming Shigaraki and it's destroying his body. He's literally being torn apart inside and out right now. Pause, no diddy. And speaking of convenience, Shigaraki conveniently sprouts wings that he apparently stole from his Nomu and literally flies out of the beams. So then the remnants of Air Force One do hero things and they chase him, but he releases an EMP and escapes. New Order eventually destroys itself and Shigaraki is free to go with zero consequences for getting absolutely pummeled for an episode and 3/4. Something I forgot to write down is this is what Shigaraki looked like after his fight with Captain America. It leads to absolutely nothing, but it is funny that he is beaten to this point for a second time. Getting back on track, we continue the theme of Shigaraki being One Punch Man, Saitama Shigaraki II apparently. Anyway, Shigaraki is presumably dying, and Sugar Daddy All For One is here to nurse him back to health, but fuck all that, we know Shigaraki is going to be perfectly fine with zero defect. Anyways, it becomes All For One time, and I'll save that for a different video. We really got to put some respect on All For One. Fast forward, UA separates everyone into group battles that they presumably have the edge in. Shigaraki is in a death cage, and through no fault of his own outside of ignorance, he gets captured and slammed by Best Jeanest. Shigaraki proceeds to tell Best Genius, don't rely on cheap tricks. Shigaraki dodges some attacks by Best Jeanist, and I'm only pointing this out because before Shigaraki's buffs, Shigaraki was very elusive and acrobatic. Unfortunately, he doesn't use this offensively whatsoever. Shigaraki starts getting jumped, so I'm not going to hold him get beat up. I'm not going to hold getting beat up against him, but I'm still going to try to put out any weird, unexplainable shit and mortal wounds he suffers because, well, making a video here. So one of the better fighters goes to solo Shigaraki, and believe it or not, he does dodge a kick to a face. He then mutates himself to injure Mirko, and I wonder that, like, what's the finesse for this though? If Erasure can stop all quirks except natural ones, how is he getting this mutation quirk off? They then tell us that Shigaraki is, quote, far stronger than All For One, end quote. And I'm like, show me! Well, we're off to a good start if you only consider what happened in the last 2 minutes of the last 104. Shigaraki calls Erasure a disappointment, then begins to exponentially expand. We then get the bullshit excuse for why he can exponentially expand, but I find it funny how I'm watching a show with a lizard villain, a bunny girl, and a dude who can stretch into a needle, but the thing that breaks my immersion or suspension of disbelief is Shigaraki saying him spontaneously growing mile-long appendages and fingers out of his body is the same as growing body hair. Like, yo, fuck all the way off. My bad, I have to record this a different day so I can give it the energy it deserves. Let's continue. So Shigaraki is fighting the UA heroes, and while it's not visually pleasing, he's getting jumped, so all is fair. And I use the term all very loosely. So they are fighting Shigaraki's arms in. Is this an anime trope? You know, you see the scene where the hero is dodging a colossal amount of shit, whether it's rocks, lasers, stabby alien pikes, or in most cases, heat-seeking missiles. Nonetheless, we get banter while I try to figure out how Mahito doesn't piss me off, but Shigaraki does. Also, shout out to Bakugo for saying that Shigaraki is a Hall of Fame yapper for real. Okay, I'm glad to hear it from somebody that wasn't me. The aforementioned powers up and starts shooting his way through Shigaraki's body. It's crazy how these are extensions of his perfect body, but they get destroyed easily. Nonetheless, Bakugo goes for the killing blow, but at the last second, Shigaraki uses a quirk. How convenient. Shigaraki then tries to cosplay as Itachi by saying he doesn't care about your blah 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 blah. I don't fucking care. He then breaks Bakugo's arm, says he's as strong as All Might in close quarters. Shigaraki steps on Bakugo, and this is, oh my gosh, this is what pisses me off about Shigaraki. Okay, in this fight at least, he hits Mirko with a good little counterattack. Alright, it was cool. Alright, it was nice. Alright, and in this instance, Bakugo just blitzed through all of his arms and gets hold because Shigaraki spontaneously pulls a shield out of his ass, and it's so spontaneous they don't even make a fucking excuse for it. They don't say Eraser blinked. They don't say they don't make anything up. They don't even try to cover it up. They're just like, we're gonna flash this up for 10 frames. If you notice it, you notice it. If you don't, you know, it is what it is. Anyways, so we are roughly 3 episodes into this fight, and he just one-shots Bakugo with a grab attack and starts disrespecting his body. Bakugo tries to counterattack, but Shigaraki breaks his mech suit and just grabs him again, which, honestly, to keep it a beam with you, this is literally the best thing he's done in a fight in 7 seasons. I'm just pissed off about how we got in this situation. I can't appreciate what he did because how he got here was some bull. He then gets sniped and poisoned by the food hero. In his response to this, he spawns a mouth on his arm and spits the poison out. And apparently that's not a quirk. Very convenient. I mean, the guy can fucking regenerate, you know, he could have just cut his own arm off and grew it back. I mean, I would have been okay with that. It's not like any other wounds affect him in the first place, so I mean, losing an arm for for 3 seconds wouldn't be a big of a problem. Anyways, Shigaraki starts exponentially expanding again, then lemillion shows up, and this was my reaction. Shut that shit up. What you gonna do about Lil Mil, though? What you gonna do about Lil Mil? Shut that shit the fuck up. Despite being air quotes comparable to All Might end quote, he immediately forced lemillion out of hand-to-hand fighting range. Lemillion hits Shigaraki with an energy dragon fist. Then we focus on Bakugo, but I honestly don't want to hear that shit. While Bakugo is getting healed, they cut to a scene where Shigaraki and the rest of the gang are clearly fighting, but it's unclear what's actually happening. After that, it cuts back to an obviously wounded Shigaraki, and he gets gaslit into crashing out. Eventually, they shoot him with a literal plasma cannon. Shigaraki goes band for band with it for not that long before getting socked by Lemillion. I don't know how the fuck Lemillion punched him through a plasma cannon, but hey, I'll take what I can get at this point. Shigaraki sneak attacks the group and somehow hits everyone except the guy who doesn't have a mobility quirk. He keeps flexing his god complex, and it's not hitting for me at all. I ain't gonna lie to you. It might have been cool to some of y'all because like he talking shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. He talking that stuff. It just wasn't it for me. I ain't gonna lie to you. Because real shit, you can't freak the fuck out every time you get hit and then when you spontaneously survive, start talking shit like you're the GOAT. Like Goku, Madara, Cell, Gojo, etc, etc. If they want to show you that an attack is weak, they just stand there and tank it. Like they don't even flinch. They don't spontaneously pull a shield out of their ass, right? They don't get chunks of their skin ripped off, regenerate, and try to panic knife the fucking wave, right? No, they show dominance. Okay, so when you get sent to a fucking wall after crashing out because Lemillion said you have no fucking friends, you can't get up and start calling yourself the strongest, bro. Fuck off. To make it better, immediately after saying this god complex shit, injured Bakugo literally blows his fucking face off. Like he instant transmissions to Shigaraki and destroys his head. Pause. No autumn. Okay. No Diddy. Bakugo weaves at Shigaraki for a little bit, but Shigaraki starts spontaneously expanding, or he just spontaneously expands. It's on screen, but it's the closest you'll get to like the Dragon Ball Z Kibo, or better off, it's the closest you'll get to the Hyuga clan palm rotation. All right. Bakugo is mortally wounded at this point, and if Bakugo dies, I'll give Shigaraki some bounty points, but I am very convinced that Bakugo is going to live. Here's my thing. There's another fight where Shigaraki spends a majority of the episode getting his ass kicked. He lands one punch, not even a punch. He lands one grab attack on Bakugo, and then he throws him, and then talks shit for 5 minutes. Gets beat up. He fought Lemillion and he hasn't even touched Lemillion at all. And then he gets beamed, survives because of regeneration. Gets his face blown off, survives because of regeneration. Literally the only thing he's done so far, he kicks Bakugo, you know, and he's throwing his arms around, which the arms are, you're getting jumped. It is what it is. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's getting like the end result is like kind of cool, but the way he's getting there is just so underwhelming. Like it's not resonating. And then he just tried to Itachi Bakugo. It wasn't even that cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what he did after, I was like, yo, you know, there's moments in this where I'm like, yo, Shigaraki kind of putting on for the city right now. He kind of badass. And then I'm like, wait, how did we get here? And I'm like, bro, you haven't even moved. Like, come on. All right, we got a couple more to go, bro. We come back to Shigaraki getting his shit kicked in, and he is now the boy who cried wolf because he keeps saying, I will kill you. I can kill you. And he hasn't done it.
Did sting a little. Maybe all their attacks are starting to accumulate.
I just want you to know, we are 150 episodes into the series, and our main antagonist just realized that getting hit in a fight damages your body. Anyways, with the help of Lemillion, Mirko, say it with me now, starts beating the Mario coins out of Shigaraki. It was more of like a wombo combo, but you get the point. So they beat him into becoming a mech suit, which is kind of funny after he just said he's as strong as All Might. Alright, and of course he becomes a mech suit, but still has like super mobility and whatnot. Shigaraki then punches two people, I can't remember who it was. Then in his second best attack of the fight, he shoots rocks at the flying girl. He then tells Lemillion he's so weak he's not worth Shigaraki's time, and I'm like, he's not worth your time because you can't touch him. Deku shows up and lands an immediate Detroit smash on Shigaraki. The episode ends, and this was my reaction. We decided to leave this in. I feel like that should have been his moment, and it's just like I wrote down notes. So it's like he says the operation was pathetic. You died. You were unconscious. You didn't even see the operation. You survived due to miraculous electricity. What do you mean? And then that's not even counting you getting the Mario coins beat out of you, you dying to Endeavor 4 times. That's not counting you getting beat up by Deku so bad that Awful One had to take over your body to get you out of the situation so you wouldn't have died. How is it pathetic? You lost. It's funny how halfway through that, Shigaraki realizes, wow, they're hitting me a lot. Kinda hurts. Yeah, if you're you're the self-proclaimed in the middle of the fight. Y'all got close to me. Y'all don't understand that I'm a good close quarters fighter. And you're getting your Mario coin slapped out of you. And now you're like, getting hit kinda hurts. No shit, Sherlock. No fucking shit. It's just so dumb. I don't like this guy. He's just irredeemably bad. He's terrible. And then, alright, he just got comboed by Mirko. She doesn't have an arm and a leg. You just got slapped up by a bitch that has half her limbs. Half her limbs! And she just whooped you in close quarters combat an episode or 2 after you said, I'm better at close combat. Y'all shouldn't have got this close to me. What a fucking idiot. And then, oh, Jesus, Lord in heaven, brother. He does the little flashback. Oh my God, I was a kid on the street crying and nobody helped me. Nobody helped me. Boo-hoo. I was such a sad kid. Nobody helped me. You want to know what's funny about that? You had 4 family members try to help you and you killed them. So if those dumbass people on the street would have tried to help you, they would have died. God, what a fucking idiot. And then, Jesus Christ, tells lemillion, you're not, he tries to Itachi lemillion, you're not worth my time. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? You haven't touched him. You put fingered is crazy. You use little fingers to hurt everyone else. You got Bakugo, you got Mirko, you threw rocks at the flying girl. You haven't touched lemillion. All you did was get dirt all over his uniform. He's the one person you can't touch. It's not that he's not worth your time. You can't do anything to him. He's too good for you. It takes too much time for you to try to figure out how to beat the guy. So don't try to big bro. Oh, you're not worth my time. Hurt him. Put him out of commission. Kill him. Get him out the way. I can't wait to get these thoughts organized and down. But it's just, I don't get it with this guy. I don't get it. He's not. I feel like it's at least at this point he's getting results. Because before I was like, you're doing bullshit. You're not really doing anything. All right, you're getting everything given to you, and you're still not getting the results. So now he's getting the results, but it's still the same formula to where it's just he's not really doing anything and everything is getting handed to him. But at least at this point, he's getting results. Bakugo is currently dead. Something I forgot to point out in my immediate reaction and in the post comments, that it's kind of weird that Shigaraki wants to get Deku so mad when he hasn't yet beaten him in a fight. You haven't beaten the guy in a fight, yet you want to piss him off to make him stronger. It makes absolutely no sense. In other shows, they beat the main protagonist and they're like, I want to see him at his best. I want him to be stronger. Give me a challenge. You were weak. I won. But he has yet to win, but he's taunting. It makes no sense. So lemillion stops Deku from becoming bloodlusted, which honestly, I really wanted to see that. I just wanted him to just go ape shit for real. Shigaraki makes the first move, but it gets blocked. Deku lands a grab attack, but it was only to set up to his next move, alright? Deku teleports to Shigaraki and starts caving his stomach in.
What will power that's comparable to All Might's do to your bodies?
Lemillion asks if he broke the sound barrier with that punch, and I would like to educate you, young scholar. Yes, he did. And guess what, Lemillion? Endeavor punched Shigaraki so hard that his air quotes incomplete body broke the fucking sound barrier. But guess what it did? Absolutely nothing. Alright, end quote. So Deku lands a blow that, like the others, should have obliterated his body, or at the very least his internal organs. No pause. Do with that as you will. And he follows it up with a weaker, but still devastating attack. Shigaraki attempts to hit him in some way, shape, or fashion. I didn't write it down, but I did write down that it got weaved, okay? He tried to counterattack, but he gets outsmarted. And then Shigaraki tries to go band for band with Midoriya, and gets his arm and chest literally torn up. Next time we see him, there's literally a hole in his chest, alright? So at this point, we've seen his entire body burned to a husk, his face blown off, and at this point, a hole punched through his chest. We're getting to a point to where, sorry, that was really fast paced. I really hope y'all were watching that on screen, but TLDR, Shigaraki's getting beat the fuck up again, okay? Alright, we're getting to a point where if Shigaraki dies, which I doubt he's going to die, but if Shigaraki dies, we're going to end up in a situation where we're all as a collective saying, if this killed him, how the fuck, like, how come when X did this to him, he didn't die? Moving on, All For One somehow, someway, bails Shigaraki out again, and then he explodes when, I can't remember exactly how this went down, but at some point, All For One's fight, or Toga's fight, leads to Kurogiri warping a bunch of people a bunch of places, and they end up incapacitating Eraserhead and the copy quirk guy. So Shigaraki gets all his quirks back and literally explodes. That's how he bails him the fuck out. Alright, now we can continue in peace. Shigaraki tries to blow the place up but gets sniped. Lady Nagat blows his hands off, which is a bailout I'll take. Why the fuck not? Deku then tackles Shigaraki out of the cage, and I didn't write it down, but that is the last time you see Shigaraki in the animated series, because there's going to be another fucking season. I forgot to write an outro with like a condensed version of my thoughts on Shigaraki, so I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. But before I do that, I just want to play my reaction to the final episode. I thought this was the end, and then I realized it wasn't, but I don't know what to say. First off, you know, I always said, like, genuinely, you could probably make a bunch of, like, 3-man teams that can win the game, the show, that can beat the League of Villains. And it's funny, because that just came to fruition, because All Might is putting the beats on All For One, using just Class 1A's quirks. Absolutely insane. Oh, Lord, we got another one coming, dog. I gotta do this again, but, Shigaraki's not beating allegations. Alright, this is like first initial reactions. He's not really, he's not beating allegations at all. At face value, he beats Captain America. Bakugo is still alive technically, but he is looking like he's gonna die along with, either way in that situation, either Bakugo dies or the thin hero dies, right? Initial reaction, bro, Shigaraki ain't beating allegations. Dabi right now has a redemption. I still think previously, before this season, he was a disappointment. He might have beat the allegations. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna write that in, and if I feel like he did, he'll get a redemption arc video. I'll throw that out there. Why the not? Hey, All For One getting pieced up by All Might was not on my prediction list, I'm not gonna lie. I would say I don't know what's taking so long with him and Shigaraki, but the thing is, you know, you kill Shigaraki, he regenerates, and he doesn't even have fucking Eri, and then now he technically gets to use quirks now because Eraser's not there, but it's just like, what quirks are we gonna use? Like, he's not gonna use, he's gonna do the same thing he's been doing for the last 6 seasons. The only difference with him having quirks and not having quirks is when Eraser is there, Shigaraki dies and regenerates. When Eraserhead is not there, Shigaraki pulls a quirk out of his ass to save his life because he technically has any quirk you can fucking fathom. So there's not a big difference. That's pretty much how it's gonna go. He's gonna fight the same way. Deku's gonna put belt to ass. He's gonna beat the crap out of him, and hopefully there's more fighting scenes because they don't have him sprawling out being a massive kaiju. But Deku's gonna put belt to ass. Shigaraki is he's gonna go in for a final blow. He's going to pull a shield out of his ass. He's going to put a mouth out of his ass. And that's not a joke. He literally pulled a mouth out of his shoulder to spit poison out. He's going to harden his body. He's going to separate himself. He's going to isolate his essence, his soul, his heart from the part that actually got blown off, saying like Deku hits him in the stomach and puts a hole in his stomach or his chest. And he's like, I moved my heart to my ankles so I could still regenerate. You know, some dumb shit like that's going to happen. And then that's going to be the only time he uses a quirk. He's going to spend the rest of it either getting beat the fuck up or just charging at Deku and trying to grab him. That's pretty much how it's going to go. He's not going to kick. He might throw a punch. He's not going to knee anybody. He's just going to grab and maybe hit you once. And then besides that, it's going to be all decay. Assuming he actually used decay. Because I'm pretty sure we just went through this whole fucking thing and he did not use decay. Which, albeit, Eraser was there. Alright. And that's the end of the off the top of the head rant. But G shit, like Shigaraki, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I don't mind him as a character. I just strongly disagree with him being the main antagonist. And even if he has to be the main antagonist, I don't feel like he should have been that for so long. Like, there were so many other candidates that would have been far better for that. And if All For One is looking for a vessel to jump into, pause no diddy, like, for real, there's literally so many other candidates, alright? I mean, Stain, Chisaki had literally the superior version of Shigaraki's quirk. I don't understand how he is not chosen to be the successor over Shigaraki's bum ass, and Chisaki at least had a little bit of fighting experience. You then had Stain, which, albeit his quirk wasn't as good as the others, he just used it better than them too. Are we forgetting that All For One is just throwing quirks in the motherfuckers? He's just giving them the Superman juice and shit like that, you know what I mean? So that they, like, there's that, and I mean, it is what it is. But my thing is with Shigaraki is, like, before he was getting all this bullshit, he was this big ass nepo baby getting handed everything he has in life, and he wasn't doing shit with it. All right, he wants to box All For One of Midoriya, and then, you know, he says he wanted to fight One For All, and he would have got washed because he didn't know how to fucking fight. He's over here getting cooked by random NPCs and shit like fucking Sandman Snatch and goddamn whatever his face was, and he keeps gloating about taking One For All and shit like that. And then he goes to fight Endeavor, gets the shit kicked out of him, leaves Endeavor because he's like, One For All is here, gets his shit kicked in again. And guess what? We're a season later, he's trying to take One For All, and he's getting his shit kicked in while gloating about being the strongest character in the fucking show. I mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to keep this video relatively short. It's just like Mahito and Shigaraki are peas in a pod, but Mahito doesn't piss me off at all. Shigaraki pissed me off a lot. I like Mahito. I hate Shigaraki. And the difference is with like them is like Mahito does everything. He boxes, albeit he does get his shit kicked in once or twice, but he's ruthless. He murders people. He's manipulative. He's an asshole. He's doing all the things that Shigaraki is trying to do, but the thing is he puts some power behind it. You know what I mean? Like Mahito, I fucking despise that guy. I hate him. He is horrendous. Just like Sasuke. Sasuke pisses me the fuck off. I hate Sasuke. But the reasons why I hate Sasuke and Mahito makes them good characters, because they do things that are designed to make you not like them. Shigaraki is attempting to be this dislike person, but he's doing this dumb shit. You can't be on your badass I'm Debo shit and starts crying and crashing out because lemillion said your dumbass ain't have no friends, right? You can't have that mid-ass backstory. If you have a mid backstory, show it once. It is what it is. I don't give a fuck. But don't keep throwing the mid-ass backstory in my face and being like, no one would help me. No one helped you. They tried. Your bitch ass dog tried to help you. You killed him. Your bitch ass mom tried to help. Your mom wasn't there. Your dad tried to help you. You killed him. Your family tried to help your dumbass and you killed him. The only person that you couldn't kill helped your dumbass. But enough of the yelling and shit, unless I just get passionate again. And it's just like never in my life, at least up until this point, have I seen the main antagonist get outperformed by his peers, basically, right? He has several peers that outperform him. Hell, you can argue that All For One is outperforming him in this final season. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do a video on All For One. I'll All For One in Dabi an apology. Like, Dabi is getting an apology video if you know, don't go crazy. All For One is getting a dedicated video because he was out there putting belt ass. And he's still currently putting belt ass, as far as I know. And I can't remember if I mentioned the other one. Is my big thing with Shigaraki. It's just like, as the main antagonist in a show, anime, movie, or whatever, you're bound to lose. It is what it is. It's going to happen. But the way he loses is absolutely ridiculous. A big thing that I also hold against him is that he can't fight. And like 2 or 3 people mentioned that you don't need martial arts to know how to fight. You know, animes aren't all about fighting and whatnot. And you know, at first I was just like, bro, if I don't want to see fighting in an anime, I'll go watch Durara or something. I go watch a rom-com or some shit, right? But no, G shit, the better point here that I didn't think of is that people are doing martial arts on him. They're doing martial arts to other characters, you know what I mean? People are over here Muay Thai boxing and kicking the shit out of Shigaraki, and he's the main antagonist, self-proclaimed strongest person in the show, but he can't do it back. all he can do is a basic jab, which does an exponential amount of damage for some stupid reason, right? Or grab attack. The only other attack that I've seen him land is the spin swipe with an exponentially expanding arm against Mirko. So it's like other characters can box. They've been boxing you, but you can't box back. That's what I don't like. But overall, I think All For One just chose the wrong person to put in charge and whatnot. And the thing is, Shigaraki had a potential to be like an A-tier villain. Like, he could have really been up there. If he moved like Mahito for real, he would have been up there. I'm not gonna lie. And I think this is gonna go two ways, right? Either people are gonna say, how the fuck can you like Mahito and not Shigaraki? Or people will see like, you know, okay, the Mahito is like what Shigaraki should have been. But TLDR, yeah, Shigaraki is a good character design and a good concept for a villain. I mean, not everyone has a good reason to do what they do. Some people are just born evil, and then the whole thing, like quirks, develop your personality. That's cool. I don't mind that at all, but Shigaraki just doesn't live up to the hype that he gets. He honestly is a very underwhelming villain. I've actually gotten to the point where I think he sucks as a villain. He's a fraud, he's a nepo baby, and he is the most convenient villain of all time, because no matter what he needs, it's like a fucking cartoon. He conveniently gets it in the moment he needs it to keep him from dying. You know what I mean? And even in times where he doesn't even need the fucking thing at all. Like, his body regenerates. If Bakugo punched the shit out of him and knocked him out, he would have just regenerated. It didn't matter. He doesn't need the shield anyways. If, you know, when homeboy shot him with the poison, he doesn't need to spit the poison out of his fucking shoulder. He can just chop his arm off and regenerate it. He literally just, he can't die unless he is completely incinerated, which is funny because he does get completely incinerated, so you have to break him down to particles to kill him. Plans, dang, I kind of felt bad for posting so many My Hero Academia videos, but it's the show that I've seen the most and I know the most about so far. But video plans, I'm gonna try to get like a Dabi redemption arc video out, and then one about All For One, because All For One's kind of cold. I feel like he's one of the more underrated characters in the show, so we're gonna try to give him some love. But there's also going to be another painful season of My Hero Academia going, and I say painful, but honestly I actually really like this season. I mean, Shigaraki was on some bullshit, but this getting wiki. I actually really enjoyed watching this. But this is gonna be my last time talking shit, well, not talking shit about Shigaraki, but like giving Shigaraki a dedicated video. The last video would just be some kind of overview of that season or My Hero Academia as a whole type shit, and then just like maybe like ranking it or something. And yeah, I'll do something like that. But hey, until we meet in that video or the comments, remember, if you know man, because we know me, I'm next, sponsored by Atari.